just introduce myself real quick. My name is Johnny Christensen, and I am the founder of One Financial Group, and I have been in the financial planning industry for 25 plus years. So my PowerPoint presentation that I wanted to go through, I talked just briefly about it a minute ago about life experiences. So what I wanted to do is I kind of wanted to start out, and my story is probably going to be a lot like a lot of people that are in here tonight or today. Is that so? I'll just kind of revert back to a time. I was 9 years old when my parents got a divorce. My dad was a RCA washer and dryer repairman for 35 years. Never went on to any kind of education beyond high school, other than getting a few certificates along the way to be a repairman. So I'm the youngest of three, and my oldest sister is 10 years older than me, so I came along a little later with my parents. So my talk today, I kind of want to focus on kind of what brought me to the position that I'm here today, talking to you guys, and how it evolved and how it progressed. I love talking about education, and that's what my involvement is with the school on a volunteer basis, is that I get to help the development office in finding new ways, creating new ways of increasing the endowment for students that are going to qualify for a scholarship, those that can't afford it. So what I wanted to talk about is education first. So when I came out of high school here locally, I went up to the University of Utah with and I don't know if there's a lot of people in here, my learning curve is way long. A lot of people are just shorter. Mine's way long. So I went to the University of Utah and was completely lost. I spent a whole year of my dad's hard-earned money working on washers and dryers, trying to find out if I even belonged in school. Maybe I should have just went and found another career, did something different. But I went to the University of Utah, coming from a local high school, into a math class that had 300 plus people in it, and the professor was never there. We were watching videos on screens. I was totally lost, totally discombobulated on where I wanted to go. So it took a year for me to figure out how to find a way to commit myself to getting a higher education. So I've gone through some things, and I go through high schools and I teach a similar thing I talk about a similar thing that I'm going to talk about today. We'll get into the educational part, because this is how I evolved in my life, professionally, and with family, with friends, and associates, clients. Everything evolves, and I'll talk about that as we go forward. But so I wrote down top 10 reasons on why you want to be educated. And we'll probably start a little boring here, but I promise we'll get into something exciting here. Most important thing is for a happy and stable life. Education will provide that. It'll give you something to always fall back on. Even if you're changing careers, changing jobs, changing companies, whatever, your education will always be a platform that you can always stand on. Money. Who's all in here to play? You're being educated because you want to make more money. Did you know that the average person that graduates with a high school diploma, and then the average guy or gal that graduates from college with a bachelor's degree, it's about $600 a week more nationally that they're making. So education, if you like money, unless you strike it rich, if you like money, education's the number one thing. Equality. I grew up in an area and in a social disadvantaged economic situation. So equality, even though I didn't even know what that meant, equality was a huge deal for me moving forward. And it means if you're in a situation that you feel like maybe higher education is not part of your future goals, well, it is. Through the advancements in equality, everybody can have an opportunity to get a higher education. So, makes you self-dependent. I'm sure there's nobody in here that's going to school that feels like they need to be dependent on somebody else. Education will help you with that, give you self-dependence. Turns dreams into realities. We all have dreams. Like I told you earlier before, I had some major dreams when I went into school. But your dreams are really hard to meet if you don't educate yourself. And there's going to be some other things I'm going to talk about here, and it'll explain why. It makes the world a safer and more peaceful place. True. If you're from a different country, and you, from a third world country, for instance, and you get an education, you can change the life of other people in your country. And I get to see that a lot with the humanitarian things that we do. A lot of people come in to the United States to get educated, and then they go back into their countries, their towns, their villages, and they make a difference in their life because they were educated. Makes you confident. Confidence in the business world is the number one thing. If you lose confidence, or if you don't have any confidence to begin with, confidence is a really hard thing to gather. And whether you think someone's confident or not, there's always that little bit that they're not. And my point is that as you get into your business, get into your employment, you're dealing with a lot of people that make a lot of money, or they've been there for longer. And so immediately you're going to feel that you're inferior to them. So confidence is a huge thing. You're probably not going to have it up front in the business world. It's going to take time. And trust me, I was a very shy and reserved person when I first came out of college. So society. Education will change society on how how we interact with each other, not only in a social aspect, but also in a business or professional aspect. It's going to change. And this is the one that I deal with a lot, and which is saving you from being fooled or cheated. Okay, my average client's 74 years old. I deal with a lot of older people, and a week never goes by. For the last 20 years, a week doesn't go by that I have a client come to me and say that they have an offer, that they've been, offered something, to buy something, to get involved in something. Being educated, outside of what you're going to get in your degree, being educated in life will help that type of thing from happening. Trust no one. Yeah. So anyway, education really helps you from getting taken advantage of, right? So This is one that I really want to touch on. And it's something that I didn't know how to do. So I'll just kind of revert back a little bit. When I came out of college, I went and worked for a company called Northwestern Mutual. I worked there for a year and a half, kind of like as an internship, and then I opened my own company. But during that year and a half, I learned a lot. I had a guy that we had an interest in racquetball. So his name was Steve. He's actually passed away now. But he was at Northwestern Mutual. He was just a big example. Everybody just loved the guy. Well, he never talked to the younger people because we're young. We don't have any experience. He was a very successful guy. Drove a nice car, dressed nice. So I immediately gravitated toward this guy. He was awesome. So we got this friendship going. We play a little racquetball here and there. And I finally get this client that has money. They don't want to talk to me. They want to talk to somebody that actually knows what they're talking about. So I bring them in to talk to Steve. And so they walk in his office. I'm nervous. I'm so nervous I can't even breathe. And I go, hey, Steve, this is so-and-so, this is Steve, my nemesis. Okay? Everyone know what a nemesis is? It's your enemy. So right in front of these clients, he told me, don't try to use big words to impress somebody. Right in front of them. So my confidence went, I just plummeted because he embarrassed me. But he's right. I tried to do something, and I was probably outside of my realm of using a big word when I was 21 or whatever, that backfired on me. But now, 25 years later, I'm telling you, I learned so much from that one little sentence that he said that kind of changed how I deal with things. So my point is a mentor. Does anybody have a mentor in here? Okay. If you don't have one, find one. Latch onto one. Somebody that's in your industry, find out who they are. Find out if they're willing to sit down with you for a few minutes. If they find out that you're engaged and what they like, they're going to immediately, and I do this all the time, they immediately take you in and want to help. But there's a few things that a mentor will do. They provide information and knowledge. So at 21 years old, I had no information, I had no knowledge. So fortunately, I hooked on with Steve. Steve allowed me to gain a lot of just little bits. He didn't even know it most of the time that I was picking his brain. But he really helped me in identifying who I wanted to be and if I wanted to even stay in the industry. And he really helped me do that. So mentors can see where you need to improve. So if you are doing something that inside of your industry that's maybe not conducive, ethical, moral, if it's maybe even uneducated, that mentor can help you correct that. They encourage and they help you keep going. A lot of times when you come out of school, get into your industry, you can get beat up pretty quickly. And having a mentor to fall back on, and that mentor can encourage you and kind of help you move forward and keep going. They're trusted, right? If you get a good relationship with a mentor, you can trust them. If you trust them and you're honest with them, they're going to do the same back for you. They're going to trust you as well. And they're going to open up doors that you have no idea that's even going to be there. This is one that I kind of live on. Mentors can help you not make the same mistakes that they did. I made a lot of mistakes when I first got in the industry. The biggest mistake I made was that I wanted to change. I wanted to do something else. I had a lot of people that were I was offered a pharmaceutical job when I came out of school, had a lot of colleagues or friends that was in school with. They all went that route. I stuck with the financial part. And I'm telling you, I've been watching them buy new cars, start their families, buy houses. And it took me a long time because I was making a lot of mistakes. That's why a mentor is so critical, is they can really help you avoid the mistakes that are there. But the best thing about a mentor is they're free. You're not paying a mentor, which ends up being priceless. If that mentor is so influential in your life, they become priceless. So that's my suggestion on this part of the talk is get a mentor. And I don't care who it is. It could be somebody, a friend. It could be a family member. It could be somebody in your industry. It could be a neighbor. Find somebody that's been through something and that they can help you along. So the next topic of my talk, I want to talk about networking. Again, I'm evolving now. So education, I started there. I was able to get in touch with the mentor. By the way, he was one of many mentors that really helped me in my career. I had a lot of them. Doctors, a lot of engineers that worked for Chevron. I have a great client that he was executive vice president for Chevron of South America. And he had a huge influence on me. And I'll go into that in just a minute on what you do when you don't need to be making money. So anyway, let's get into networking for a second. Why is it so important to network? Number one, driving word of mouth recommendations. So if you're in the industry, we'll just take financial planning, my industry, for example. If you're in there and you're cheating people out of money, and people are losing money, they're losing their retirement funds, or they're losing money on stock, how often are you going to be recommended by that person? It's never going to happen. So, over and over again in my career, I have gone into a referral. And I sit down with them, go over everything, and I go, just a simple question. How many times have you guys referred this broker to a friend of yours? Never. I never did it. Oh, he's lost me money. And I go, well, why do you think I'm sitting here? I'm sitting here because I was referred to you. I would be referred to you if the client that is your friend, if I had ripped them off money, or if I had taken advantage of them, or if I didn't communicate. I would have never been referred. So that's a really important thing to remember. Encourage your mentors to refer you. A lot of mentors, whatever industry they're in, they have colleagues, they have people that are going to probably like your industry. They need a referral. So you need to work through that channel as well. Understanding market conditions. So in 2008, was it a great deal to be in real estate? Probably not. I, for one, built a spec house in Alpine. I'm a financial planner, not a home builder. And I thought I had it all figured out, and I didn't. And I lost a lot of money on this house. And so when the market opportunities change, financial markets change, real estate markets change, tech companies change. So it's all about when you get into your industry and if you are able to withstand it when it goes into the down part. Networking, getting new ideas and innovations. The world changes so quickly. Most of you in here, the technology that you guys understand is so far advanced than what I could ever even understand. So the innovations happen, and you need to be able to stay up with them. And as hard as it is, and the older you get, that becomes more and more difficult. But the ideas and innovations are truly a big deal in the networking. Finding inspiration, that's another one. What inspires you? Do you like it when someone is satisfied with the work that you've done? Of course. So the inspiration will always keep you motivated. Communication, improving your communication. So I'm up in front of you today, but I still have a communication problem. And that one, as much as I talk in public or whatever, or talk to clients on a regular basis, I still feel that I'm not doing enough communicating. Communicating is huge. Because if you're not communicating, your competitor is communicating with your client. And that's when you lose people. So communicate. Keep in touch with them. Most people, most clients or whoever that you guys work with, they don't need to be visited. You don't need to go sit down with them, take them to dinner. You don't need to do that. But a phone call for 5 minutes changes everything. It just makes them feel assured that you have their interest at heart. And another one, when you're networking, is that you're going to make great friends. It's just inevitable. The more you network, the more friends that you get out there, and they understand what you're doing, that's going to help solidify what you're doing in your career. So, the last one I wanted to talk about. So you've found your success. You're into your career 10, 15 years. You're happy. Yeah, you're healthy. You're somewhat financially stable. What do you do outside of your job that makes a difference? So this is where and I'll give you a couple stories. I just want to tell this one story, this communication thing that I had. So I go and I speak in Montreal, Canada, for a bank up there, and I talk about in front of their clientele about how to protect assets. Just a simple thing. How do you protect assets? So the first time I went up there, I was up on the stage and I look out and there's all these really nice tables and they're serving this dinner to 600 and something people. And I was really super nervous. I was the last speaker, and I get up there, and the person's up there introducing me, and I literally cannot feel my hands. I have completely gone numb. And what can people in Canada, very wealthy people, what can they ever learn from a guy that's from Sandy, Utah? So those doubts started creeping into my mind. Oh no, what am I going to do? So I walked out there, and for 20 minutes, I really don't know how I was able to accomplish it, but for 20 minutes, I went on about how to conserve your assets. The feedback I got from that, on a personal note, was it doesn't matter how nervous you are or how you lack in communication skills. If you push yourself and you're able to get out there, you can still do it. So that was a really interesting part of my growing in public speaking is that moment, that literally 30 seconds of the time that I was being introduced until the time I walked out there and be able to convey a message. So Now let's get back to what my interest is more towards now. Salt Lake Community College is probably the biggest one that I'm involved in now. There's a need for people that you guys are all going to get an education. You're all going to move on to your careers. You're going to make money. Some of you are going to make really good money. But how important is the money in long-term stuff? It took me a long time to figure this out when I wanted to become a stockbroker. Okay, I wanted to make an unbelievable amount of money so I could buy nice cars and nice houses and I could travel all over the world. That's why, that was my focus. It was just those three things. Well, the more money you make, and I don't make a lot of money, but the more money you make, you kind of get entrenched into that's what's important. You're concerned about yourself, and you're motivated by that. You guys are really young. You guys will get to a point where money's great. It doesn't stink, but it can be a negative thing in your life. So how do you turn it around? How do you make a difference with the money that you're making? So I have found it in philanthropy, giving back. And like I told you earlier, it's not about or all about money, and it can be about time. So you get to a point in your life where you can continue to be a little self-absorbed, or you can start helping other people. And so I have this quote here, and I'll go into the part of this. It says, "Successful people are always looking for opportunities to help others. Unsuccessful people are always asking, what's in it for me?" And I deal with people. I have one client that lives in Seattle, Washington, that was an executive for a big company, and he made a huge amount of money through a stock option plan, just an amazing amount of money. But he stayed humble, and he still lives in the same house. He's in his 80s, still lives in the same house. His wife has Alzheimer's. He takes care of her in the house. But this house is just this little brick and mortar house, and as they had a kid, they'd add a piece. And it's the funniest thing in the world that somebody would live in something so humble, but be worth so much. That's what I want to be known as, is to, when do you start giving back? And again, I revert back, you guys are going to make money. The education, you're seeking that right now. And with the little things that I've talked about, and I could go on and on and on about all the things that are important and what I've talked about, the networking and the mentorship and all that. But the most important thing is really what you're going to give back. And that's the focal point here today. And that may be true on some cases. I have yet to find a mentor that has a real desire to help somebody, charge them anything. First of all, you're coming in. You don't have any money to pay a mentor to help you along. You might want to pay a coach. You could pay a professional coach to help you. But a mentor is different. A mentor should be a friend. And you're going to find most likely, you're going to find somebody. It doesn't have to be in the industry that you're looking at. But you're going to find most likely, I can almost guarantee it, that you'll find somebody that can help you. As successful as you think you are, guess what? There's always somebody that's more successful. There's always somebody that makes more money. There's somebody that's always, money drives a lot of things. It drives, are you here because you want more money? Are you here because you want some popularity? Are you here because you want some recognition? Is that why you're here? Well, Partly. But the most important thing that everybody's here for is that you want to make money, right? You want to you want to have a career. Now, you don't want a job, you want a career. You want something that's going to last for the next 40 or 50 years of your life. That's what you want. Find something that you're happy with. It sounds like you're very passionate about what you want to do. That's huge. You don't want to get into a job where, and I deal with this a lot, because I take on new clients that are getting close to retirement, and then just kind of walk them through the process. And it's amazing how many people just spent their last 40 years of their life unhappy, disgruntled, dissatisfied. Don't do that. Find something that you're passionate about. Your passion with finance. I love finance. I love numbers. I was never good at math. Sorry, Paul. I was never good at math. I went into the University of Utah with an absolute, I was so in the fog on math. So this is another thing I'll tell you about how Johnny came through school. So I started at the University of Utah. I had these goals of being an anesthesiologist first, and then going into finance. I had a really bad experience at a hospital here in an internship when I was a freshman, and we were just there in the emergency room doing some things, and we saw more. I was there for 2 weeks is all, and I saw more horrific things in 2 weeks than I could even imagine. And I wanted to look at blood for a living. So there was a lot of traumatic things that happened in that ER. And when that 2 weeks was over, I went to my counselor at the U, which counselors now are completely different than they were back when I was going to the U. They're a lot more accommodating now. You need to take advantage of your counselors. I went to my counselor and I said, hey, this thing with the medicine thing isn't working for me. So I changed my path to business. But I have a minor in biology. That didn't help much. This minor doesn't do anything for me. And honestly, I can't even remember how I even received it. Just stay focused on what you're able to do, because you can really get the career paths can certainly change, and they may change. So I'll kind of bund it up there, but I appreciate the opportunity to and I hope that I can do it another time. Maybe have some people that have the same kind of passion for the college that I do, that we can line up. But you guys are going to a great institution here. This is a great place to be. And my son goes here and loves it. And it's a great place. And higher education is everything. Because if you ever want to have any kind of goals, unless you plan on winning the lottery, this is where you need to be. And this will help you reach your goals and your dreams, because that's what keeps you going, inspired to do that. So thank you very much.